They were just schmoozing, two boys schmoozing. If you know the building of 770 Eastern Parkway, there's an elevator there. The Rebbe used to give dollars there, and from there you go into a hallway where you can go into the Lubavitcher Rebbe's office where he used to work, or you go upstairs where his father-in-law lived. The Rebbe Rayatz lived till his passing in 1950, and then his wife lived there till her passing in 1971. So he says, we're standing by the elevator, and the door opens up, and who comes out? The Ramash. The Ramash is the acronym of Reb Menachem Schneerson, which was the title that Hasidim used to refer to him during the lifetime of his father-in-law. He was a son-in-law, he married his middle daughter, so he was called the Ramash. Later he, of course, succeeded his father-in-law as the Rebbe, the 7th Lubavitcher Rebbe. Then he was called the Ramash in a respectful acronym. So it tells me, Rabbi Edelman says, Rabbi YY Jacobson, he says the Ramash comes out from the door and he passes by. So he stops in front of me and Fogelman. And he says, Bachrim, wilt herren a frischen Wort von dem Rebbe dem Schwer. Do you want to hear a fresh Wort? A new, let's say, hot out of the oven, a frische Wort. A new, fresh insight that I just heard from my father-in-law, from the Rebbe Rayatz. You don't resist such an offer. Say, Avada, of course. So this is what the Rebbe tells them, and I have to tell you, it astounded me personally. You'll soon see why. The Rebbe says, the Ramash says to them, let me tell you what the Rebbe just told me. He says, you know, sometimes people walk into shul and they're not shomer Torah mitzvah. They don't observe Torah mitzvahs. Some of them came from the old home. Some of them were born here. But whatever the situation is, they don't practice any more Jewish life. You know my minhag, you know my custom is, I'm always very, very warm to them. I'm inviting, I'm welcoming, and I always speak to them with grace. Und ich bin sie mekarev. I always try to be kind and embrace them. There were older Hasidim, Chabad Hasidim, who came to me and said, Du fühlst dich nicht richtig. This is not appropriate behavior. By you being warm and kind to them, you're giving a hechsher. You're legitimizing in their mind what they're doing. You have to be harsh. You have to rebuke them. You have to tell them the truth about how terrible it is what they're doing. You're so warm and cozy and kind, and you have a nice word for them, and they go home feeling good about themselves. You have an ability to protest. And the Ramash tells the two Bachrim Lach, he says, listen to this. He says, and I didn't know if I'm right or maybe I'm wrong. I felt that this is a much more effective way of bringing them back to Torah. I felt it's essentially the appropriate way, but I thought maybe the older Hasidim are right. Maybe my judgment is clouded, and maybe I shouldn't behave this way. I had a question. So what did I do? So I just went in a few minutes ago to the Rebbe, to my father-in-law, and I told him the story, and I shared with him my dilemma. I asked the Rebbe to tell me who's right. Should I change my behavior or not? He looks at the boys and he says, and das ist, was der Rebbe hat mir gesagt. And this is what the Rebbe told me. Der Eberste hat beschaffen, wenn a Tate und a Mame haben a Kind. Hashem created the world when a father and mother give birth to a child. Haben sie lieb dem Kind mit dem ganzen Herzen. They love the child with all their heart. And if you'll ask the mother and father, can you love them? How much do you love them? How much? And the answer is unbegrenzt. That's what he said. Unbegrenzt. You know what unbegrenzt means? Limitless. A limitless love. The love has no boundaries. Doesn't stop. The love doesn't go from here to China. The love extends infinitely. Wollt man gekannt meinen, Hast du schon nicht keinen Platz für noch Liebschaft? So there's no space for more love. If the love fills your whole heart and beyond, that's it. That man, wenn der Eberste bencht mit noch ein Kind, haben sie dem Kind euch lieb, unbegrenzte Hate. Hashem blesses them with another child. They love this child oh so infinitely. And so with every child, somehow the magic is recreated again and again and again. Each child they love without limits, without bounds. We're talking, of course, about functional, healthy, wholesome parents. And then the Rebbe Rayat says, Aber Seda amal, was haben a Kind. Und the Kind loy aleinu v'loy aleinu, loy aleinu v'loy aleichem. Hat a chisaron in the guf. Sometimes a child is born with a terrible deficit in the body, with a disability, crippled, disabled. Sometimes, he said, se felt an aver. God forbid, a part of the body, a limb is missing, an organ is missing, or there's a defect in the body. Could be in the heart, could be in the arms, could be in the legs, there's an impediment. Says the parents look at this child, und zu dem Kind haben sie an eigenartige Liebschaft. You hear the Yiddish? For this child, they find a unique, eigenartig. No, translate. Unparalleled, something special, a unique love. Exclusively unique. Sie haben schon gehabt an unbegrenzte Love zu den anderen Kindern. They love the other kids infinitely. That's true. But this child, because he or she is missing something, and missing something significantly, their heart goes out to this child. And there's a special sensitivity, love, compassion, affection, and attention given to this child. Und danach hat der Rebbe mir gesagt, und dann der Rebbe continued, der Eibishter hat lieb jeden Jiden wie ein eigen Kind. Hashem loves every Jew like his own child. Unbegrenzt. The love is infinite, it's absolute, it's unequivocal, it's non-negotiable, it's unconditional, and it has no limits. Aber Seda amal, was der Eibishter zet ayid, und se felt epis bei ihm, se felt epis bei ihr. He sees a Jew that there's something missing. The Rebbe says, ayid was leik nish kind tefillin, felt epis in the hand, in the arm. A Jew who doesn't put on tefillin, there is a defect in the spiritual arm, in the spiritual soul, in the arm of this Jew. A Yid was get nish kind tzedakah, there's a defect in the hand. A Yid was leider nish kind Torah, there's something in the mind of the Jew that's lacking. And he went through. A Yid was hit nish taras hamishpacha, a Yid was hit nish mikveh. Another element of the body that's spiritually affected. A Yid was leif nish tana mitzvah, there's something missing in the leg. It says, der Eibishter git a kuk auf a Kind und se felt etwas. Something is missing. Und zu dem Yid hat an eigenartige Liebschaft. He possesses such a deep love, special love, because there's something missing. His heart goes out. The Rebbe looked at his son-in-law and he said, Und du fizich wie der Eibishter. And I want you to behave just like God. I want you to behave just like Hashem. This is what the Rebbe told these two boys in 1943. And I had the privilege of hearing it from one of them, Reb David Eilman. And I was thinking to myself, go tell somebody today that the Lubavitcher Rebbe had doubts about Kiruv. The Rebbe wasn't sure. Maybe he should become the quintessential zealot who says, no way. You're nice, you're critical. Now the truth is he was a big zealot. If you knew him, he was a very big kanoi, bigger than most people imagine. But his obviously soul was also mit kanos, schreckliche kanos. But it's fascinating to me that the Rebbe had a doubt. Tell somebody he had a doubt if his approach is the right approach or maybe he's wrong. He himself, he said he wasn't sure. He wasn't sure. But now look at something else. He had a Rebbe. He went to his Rebbe. He asked the question. And the moment his Rebbe told him what the right approach is, he never turned back. And not only he never turned back, one would never speculate from all of his writings and all of his talks and all of his letters, that number in the hundreds and thousands, nobody would even ever get a sense or a feeling that he himself once struggled with this question. What's the proper approach for American Jewry? What's the approach for the 20th and 21st century? What's going to be the future of Klal Yisrael? Ma Hashem elekecha doirish me'imach. Was will der Eberstein heintike dar? What's that? What's the derech HaTorah? What's Torah? What would the Baal Shem Tov say? What would Arizal say? What would Moshe Rabbeinu say? It was a question. And we know there were different approaches. Nara Pashte, as the Gemara says, different approaches, different paths. And he himself had a question, but once his Rebbe told him, this is it, there was no turning back. You don't even ever see a psahava minute, the question, I mean, he would sometimes discuss the question, but it was with such clarity.